Good morning, Dungeon. God damn, it's early. But hey, Clarence, first of all, very good video. And bro, yeah, I'm all over that last scenario. Jacoby Dean and Brandon Smith, they point out, but you touch on a point in what I think you did in your scenario in your video very well is talk about ceiling and floor all the time. What does that actually mean, right? I mean, that's a term that's used in scouting, but I also use that in terms of talent development in my job as a manager. Like a player with a low floor, for example, they're kind of that very little success coming in, right, at the time. But if they have a high ceiling, there's potential. In that simple terms, right? It's really a complicated overused term somewhat too. But then let's say somebody that had significant success before they came to my job, or in this case, college players, high success at at college level. They may have a high floor, but they may have a low ceiling. So what does that mean? And I'm gonna put it in talent development, which I can speak to in terms of my position in real world. And low ceiling means there's very little more improvement. So the example would be take a successful quarterback, Carson Palmer. I'd use him as an example, right? Carson Palmer had a high floor, Heisman Trophy, great stats, right? What was his ceiling? He really never exceeded, he never had a great MVP, never transcended the time ceiling, right? So he really did have a low ceiling in the end of the day, but a high floor, right? And he ended up proving out to be just that. He was a dependable quarterback, never really won a championship, never really made a lot of great differences. Drew Bledsoe's another one, but these guys are not bad players. These guys, depending on position, maybe were first round picks, they may not be, and it all depends on where your team's at. Obviously, your best thing is you want the high floor, high ceiling, but college stats are often misleading too. So the problem with, I think you bring up very correctly, is and I'm going to reference an earlier scenario, which you're going to see the scenarios. Look, if you guys get bored of them, rebuy them. I don't care. This will be clarified. The point of these scenarios are simply to expose you to prospects, expose us to prospects, to have discussion. What the fuck else are we going to talk about? I mean, there's no Ike Barnes in here. There's no fucking G-Dog. I don't give a shit. Don't grade me and go Mike Simon and say, hey, I'm going to win this mock draft, because I'm probably not. I don't really give a shit, right? But the problem we have with it is we fall in love with people too often with a name, or we say give up. And Vandy, I'm not calling you out, but I'm going to point out something. You made a comment. It was an astute comment, but I'm going to address it. You said, well, when did we give up on Henny and Dahlman's team? Did we? Let's talk about that. So let's say we went in, and so we've got Mayfield, we've got Dahlman, we've got Henny, youngsters, right? 3 of them, right? Guards, one of them's guard, one can play tackle. That'd be Mayfield potentially, right? Right tackle. You got Dahlman and Henny can play guard and center. So let's say we did go BPA. Let's say they look at the roster and it's just not happy with the idea of the way the movement skills have been, or very happy with how the zones or blocking's being done. If we draft a Linderbaum, let's say they're grayed out as an all-pro, and this guy has a high floor, college success, right? He's got a very high ceiling, high intelligence, high aptitude. I think Kiwi called that off the bat. By the way, good scouting, Kiwi, paying attention to tangibles. Why wouldn't you pull the trigger? Why would we assume that a third or fourth round pick is the answer? Think about that for a second, what I'm saying. You go, no, we got other problems. Do we really? Do we reach for a Kingsley Ongabar in the first round with a 10th, 12th, 15th pick? Or do you take an all-pro center? Do you take a Drake Jackson, who's a finesse player, who should be a second rounder, who may go first round because of some combine shit, but plays incredibly finesse, probably a situational guy, very much like Tag, very much like Beasley. What do you do? So if I take an all-pro center, you go, man, I'm going to stack. Why am I doing this? Why am I giving up? I'm not fucking giving up. It's back to what Clarence says, is I'm recognizing the players I have. One would arguably say Dahlman and Henny both. Okay, maybe they were high floor players coming in. Maybe they had good college success. They did somewhat. We're not talking astounding success. But what is their ceiling? Where are they going? What's the unlocked potential? Can they beat Linderbaum? Can they push off Linderbaum? If he can come in and start day one and he has that all-pro type ability that you see, Brother, you take that shit, because guess what? Now you got an all-pro type center sitting there, and you've got two battle-tested vets, second and third year vets on cheap salaries that can back you up at guard and back at center. And guess what? The NFL fucking injuries happen. We know this. So you don't hesitate on those positions. I think the one thing I hate about this fucking place, not you guys, mostly message board, not every draft pick is going to be your fucking savior. It's just not going to happen. But back to your point, Cog, back to your point, Clarence, you build depth by getting vets and you get add talent. So having two young vets and that can back up left guard and center, which has been a turnstile, and all types of injuries, and injuries happen. If I could put an all-pro guy in there, and let's say the next player is Thurmaier, where his name or Walker, left guard, day one starter. Again, you've got to build your roster out, and now all of a sudden look at your backups. So now let's say we go Walker, Penn State, is that right name? Left guard. Let's say we go. So we got Jake at left guard, left tackle. You got Walker left guard. Let's just say Art Mayfield, whoever beats, right? Lindenbaum center, Lindstrom, McGarry, and then your backups are Dahlman, Mayfield, and Anderson. Whoa, bro, that's stout. Injuries happen, rotational. What happens? You just got better. You just made a strength. Now, am I advocating O-line? No, I'd actually be disappointing because, yes, like anybody else, I want to see defense picks and other things. But let's also be brutally honest with where we're at currently. We don't have quality depth. You are going to have to do free agency. I think Clarence pointed out. So take the same thing with the linebackers. I mean, you guys are sick of hearing me and Clarence and everybody talking about it. But let's say Kobe Dean's your first pick. Let's say you move up even the first, you have to go get Brandon Smith because he runs the fourth grade. Or, I don't know, say Devin Lloyd, whatever. Just pick a player. But those three come to mind. Say Beavers makes it up. So you got Foy and Debo. You can work the contracts. Now you got Debo, Foy, Walker, who's deaf, by the way. I agree with you. He's not great. And then you got the Kobe Dean, which is electric. And you got a Brandon Smith or a Devin Lloyd in there. That's a strength. That's how you build this critical ability. And I get so sick of, we use the draft, which I hated TD for. TD has an analytic background and the Bill Polian of, you use the draft to fill out your roster. And, shit works in theory, but then we start relying slowly on measurables. I want football players. What does a Nakobe Dean mean? I'd take the motherfucker at number 8 or 10, wouldn't even look back. You look at young Ray Lewis, yes, he looks a lot like him. He's stout, he's got build. But again, be open. Adding player upon player is how you actually get good. It's going to take a couple years. For one, you got to look at this, and I'm going to go Bill here. We much aligned at times about rebuild. Is it a rebuild? It probably is, or at least a retooling. But the fact is, you're not very deep. Look at your wide receiver position. At one point, we'll talk about how deep we all were, me included, right? Get rid of Julio because he don't like life. He's getting injured. You got Ridley. You got Gage. You drafted Pitts. How did that work out? How deep really were we? You're down to Tajay Sharp, Zacchaeus. You can't get separation. So at any moment in time, your depth and your quality depth must be, because what we forget is most players, other than quarterbacks, rotate. That's the truth. That's what happens. I think Green Bay did it best. They went late round there a few years ago on the running backs. Was it I'm having a thing. God damn it, give me a second. Green Bay went back. Jamal. God damn it, I'm sorry. Give me a second. I'll tell you right now. So they had Aaron Jones, right? Remember Aaron Jones? The same year they had Aaron Jones, they drafted also Jamal, what's his name? I'm having a hard time here. Pardon me, guys, it's early. So we looked at Aaron Jones. They drafted Aaron Jones in the make sure 5th round, right? In 2017. But also in that year, what did they do? They drafted another running back, if I remember correctly. What was his name? I'll tell you right now. So Jamal Williams. So Jamal Williams, who was also drafted in, guess what year? 2017 in the 4th round. Ironically, the 5th rounder outplayed the 4th rounder. Now let's flash forward on these guys, right? What did they do? Remember A.J. Dillon? They drafted him. Jamal Jones goes on. So, you ever notice how in the last few years, Rodgers has just become MVP unrealistically now? I mean, like, we defies the age, but he doesn't like he's as zippy as he used to be. Well, what are they doing? What's Green Bay doing? They're completely keeping players and they're stocking the thing. I mean, so common sense is I don't draft these guys. You know, but what do they do? 4th, 5th, back, 4th. Now, am I saying every player's going to turn out like Aaron Jones? No. I think Jamal Jones went on to limited success. I think he's over at Detroit. Dillon's pounding the ball. But what I'm saying is instead of being afraid of position, they went out and got the best player and they stacked the position. They made it from a position of weakness to a position of strength. There's nothing wrong with that. TD himself, again, I brought up earlier, they drafted Ruiz. Well, and you got Eric, God, I still remember his name, but he ends up being a very good guard, if I'm not mistaken, right? Texas. You take that position. That's how you build up. I think the Saints a few years ago, didn't they draft back-to-back safeties? That's the things you do. This spreading out your picks. One thing I always hate about TD, and I think I would say Kiwi and others, you don't have to draft 6 different positions just to fill your needs. If you're doing that, you have a paper-thin team. I'm with you, Clarence. One, I'm trying to add talent. I'm trying to have football players. I'm trying to add mean, and I'm trying to speed. And 2, I'm going in position agnostic. So to bring it all back to why, one more last time, why the inside linebackers, I think you posted up a great thing when you put, I think it was 2012 or 13, Baltimore, they won the Super Bowl. Can't remember wrong when Suggs was hurt, right? And Lee Lewis was hurt. Ray Lewis was hurt too. What happened? You had a strong interior linebackers. You had a bunch of inside linebackers firing, LRB and other ones, and you just had this mean defense, and it created pressure from multiple places. So let's take that, and let's say we got lucky, and we got Dean, and we got Smith. Dude, you don't think our pass rush gets better? I mean, you seriously think that we're not going to get to the quarterback better? That we're not going to put an air of physicality? Let's say Debo becomes more of the nickel guy. Maybe he's more used sparingly because he is lightweight. Maybe Foy is. Foy does wear down. I mean, I'm sudden now. Can you imagine Dean, Smith, Foy? Let's say you renegotiate Debo or you stay with Debo and Walker. You got a position of strength. And both Smith and both Walker can play outside. Don't forget this. These are guys that you can do 4-3, 3-3-5, whatever you want to do with it, right? They're the endless formations. And Ellerby, let's cut this shit. Ellerby can blitz. I mean, you watch Ellerby, I think he's got 6 fucking sacks. I mean, Kirby sends them on fire and he gets the quarterback. But we get in this situation where we're going to be classic DN because I think we're all taught that. What I challenge you guys in these scenarios, I want to see them, and you're going to see them. Look, you don't like them, scroll the fuck by. I really don't fucking care. I mean, I've been in a dungeon forever. I'm a curmudgeon. It's early in the morning. I'm just playing. Challenging norms. And again, I go back to a statement that Clarence brought up. Do we need receivers? Yes. Or do we? We need receiving threats. That's what we need. So let's say another scenario example. Let's say you go into Kobe Dean. Boom. I'm not pushing Kobe all day. I think he may be the best player in the draft, by the way. More and more, I love him, watching him. Let's say your next pick is Walker. Who can catch? Who can take a ball, dump off 10 yards to the house, right? Who can do a go route if you need it. And then you got CP. And then you got Pitts. And then let's say you get a Weidermeyer or a Wiley or a Likely or a McBride. Bro, that's receiving threats. So in that case, you'd have Walker, CP, Pitts, and then a McBride or Weidermeyer. Plus, let's don't forget, back to the Davis. Davis is a decent receiver. You've got threats. It doesn't have to be a traditional. In fact, when the Rams won the Super Bowl, they won it on the back of who? Marshall Faulk. It wasn't Torrey. It hold as much as thing. It wasn't fucking name. Say, but you know, the receivers, they were important, but where did it all start from? From a sticky-handed, all-purpose back that had a 1,000-yard thing. Larry Center's another one. If you look at the teams and you look at Smith, and what I like about Smith is he's done some non-traditional things, you know, and I think that's the part that when we look at these scenarios, and I want to see some creativity versus, say, the message board. Is the message board says I got to have a perfect DN that's 6'5", 275, and only running 3-down player. Do you want that guy? Oh, fuck yeah, you do. I mean, seriously. But they're becoming extinct. They're not seeing a lot of those guys. I mean, and are they winning championships? Not always. Like Garrett, awesome guy over in the Browns, putting out shit. But are they winning championships? Not really. They haven't won shit yet, right? There are generational talents, but sometimes generational talents get things. John Abraham was a traditional DN. We didn't win a Super Bowl with him. We had some success. Those Ravens teams, look at those. Look at the Patriots teams, man. I mean, look at those reigns of, you know, when before Brady became the GOAT, right? But even then, the GOAT had some help. You know, you had Chandler Jones, you had Hightower, you know, McGinnis, you know, this Vrabel. Some of these guys were not all pro talents, but they were used correctly in the system, and they had Brucey inside, and you had and there's ways to make pressure, but it comes down to having football players. And I think the biggest thing is just be open-minded, ask, and I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Receivers, I'll close it out on that. I would have posted more Olave. I'm not a big Olave fan. He's okay. He's really with a little more juice. Burks has some ability, maybe very system, but yeah, I'm with Clarence. Tight ends are a big deal, and linebackers. So, again, guys, good morning. Post your thoughts. Have a good day.